Today, I'm gonna give you a tour of my home music studio. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So the things I do here in my home studio are a few things. I compose music for video games and do sound design. I also compose music for film, and I also write and record music for a couple of my own personal projects. So this home studio gets a lot of use every single day. So for me, having it streamlined was very important, and also keeping it realistic with the space I'm working within. So in this video, I'm gonna kind of give you an overview of what I have in here, the dimensions of the room, and how I use it. I'm not gonna go too in depth in each category, each section. I'm not gonna talk about the guitars I have and what woods they're made out of and things like that. This is gonna be more of an overview video. If there is anything you would like me to go more in depth on, please let me know in the comments below, and also subscribe to this channel. It helps the channel grow a ton and I truly appreciate it. Also, if you see anything in this room that you think you might want to purchase, there are links below in the description. Okay, so the space I am working with is in the basement of the house I live in. The room itself is about 24 by 24, but there is a chimney in the middle of it, kind of turning it into a donut. The space that I work within is approximately 18 feet by 12 feet. Although the space behind you right now, the camera, it's more of the 24 foot by 18. So I'm kind of working in an L-shaped room. So that is the layout of the space I am working within. So for the room itself, it was important to me to make the space very inviting and not too clinical in a lot of ways. So I do have artwork on the walls. I have some soundproofing mixed in with that artwork. And overall the room is relatively dead, has carpet on the floor, but it does have a little bit of brightness to it, but I actually like that. I also have two large windows down here in the basement that also helps fill the space with natural light. Okay, so working around the room, kind of in the area where you first walk into the space, I have a wire rack that I bought at Target. This here holds my laptop when I'm charging it. It has a lamp. It also has some microphones, kind of a catch-all bin, hard drives for backups and things like that. And next to that is kind of an ottoman that I use for a bench when people come over, track and record. Also, the nice thing about this ottoman, there is cubbies inside of it. So that's where I actually store a lot of boxes of gear I get, where I just need to kind of get that box out of the way. And those two things are up against the wall on the backside of the chimney. So moving around the room clockwise, next you will see is my guitars. So right now I have 6 guitars in the house and 1 electric bass, 1 guitar is acoustic that is elsewhere. All these guitars have different sounds, different tones, different feels to them, because every day I am writing and recording something totally different. So I like to have a little bit of variety between the guitars themselves. I have some cheap old 80s guitars that are kind of beat up to have a very particular sound. And then I also have some Les Paul style guitars. I have an Explorer. You know, kind of just a little bit of a gamut of everything. So like I said, when I need a particular sound, if it's either maybe a funk sound or a metal sound, whatever it might be, hopefully I can usually get the sound with the guitars I have here in the studio. The next little section I have used to be where I had my guitar amp and my head / fractal. That setup has now changed. So this space now is where the dog likes to hang out on her bed. All right, moving on from there is kind of the main control area where I have my desk. I made a video years ago on this desk. Overall, I think it was $100. It still works great. It's a tiny bit wobbly, but again, for $100, it works amazing. On the back of it, I have a power strip / surge protector where I have everything plugged into. It's an IKEA desk. Also recently, I added a pull-out tray for my keyboard to clean up the top of the desk a little bit more. I like to have it pretty minimal. Up there, obviously, I have my computer keyboard, mouse pad, and then also my SSL UC1. As for monitors, I'm still running my Focal Alpha 65s. I really like these. I've spent a lot of time with them. I know what things should sound like on them. I'm debating upgrading to some Barefoot Footprint 03s possibly in the future. We will see. Right now I'm in the middle of a bunch of projects and I don't want to swap out monitors in the middle of that in case it throws everything off for me. So that's something maybe down the road. And with those Focal Alpha 65s, I also am still using the PreSonus T10 sub. To the right of that, I have an auxiliary computer monitor, which I absolutely have fallen in love with. It's just a 27-inch monitor. My main monitor is 40 inches, by the way. But the 27-inch monitor, that is there strictly for my virtual mixer inside of Cubase. It is so handy to be able to have my virtual mixer over there and I can see what inserts I have, what sends I have, all of that kind of stuff up all of the time instead of having to hotkey it on my main monitor. That monitor sits on top of kind of just an end table we had sitting around. And underneath that, I do have my computer, which I recently built maybe a year ago now, maybe a year and a half. I did a video on it. So far that computer is just, it's been perfect. I run and throw giant projects at it and it is no problem at all. You know, 100+ tracks with lots of automation and some pretty labor intensive plugins, and it still does great. So behind that 27-inch monitor, I do have a lovely fake plant. It adds so much to the room. It is fake, but it just kind of makes that corner look so much better. Also back there, there is a shelf that is attached to the wall where you'll find things such as extra sets of headphones, random percussion instruments. I've got some books there. I've got my candles. I love to have candles burning in my studio when I'm working. You'll find the stand for my headphones that I've been using more and more. I'm really falling deeper in love with them. So next to the main desk and below that shelf, I have my 10-space rack unit. And this thing has been absolutely fantastic. Having it there, I also have an auxiliary computer kind of sitting and using that area as well. That computer is there for more kind of administrative work and some boring stuff, so that's nothing too fun and fancy there. But the rack itself is great. It's full of warm audio gear, and I use all these things pretty much daily, either on my master bus or mix bus, or on the front end of recording, or inside Cubase as a plugin. I've done tons of videos on those, so search for those on my channel if you're curious how I do that. So then rotating a little bit more around the room clockwise, I have another wire rack, the exact same as the other one. I like these wire racks because they don't have, like, you know, sides on them, so it kind of keeps the room a little bit more open. On this one, you'll find extra pedals that I have. Quite a few of my pedals are not in the house right now. They're at a rehearsal space. But you'll find pedals there. You'll also find an extra interface, and you'll find my Fractal FM3, and then other cables and things like that. The Fractal FM3 has been a great addition to my studio. I used to run a Fractal AXFX2 in its rack case with a cab. I'd either track it through the cab or straight from the back of the Fractal AXFX2. The nice thing I like about this FM3 is it's kind of tucked out of the way. I just flip it on when I need to record, which of course is every day, and I can control everything through the app on my computer. So once I flip it on, I'm just back in front of my computer, tweaking knobs, adjusting things, and recording. And I have that Fractal FM3 going right to my WA73 preamp. And also I have the WA76 compressor set up as an insert on that preamp if I want to use that as well. And kind of finishing off this L-shaped studio setup I have is a drum machine or drum pad. This is the drummer of one of my bands, pretending we're just like them. It's super handy to have this in the studio because we do a lot of writing here, so we can kind of hash out some ideas on this drum pad instead of having to have an actual acoustic kit or having an E-kit. In this space, I don't have a ton of room for that, so having just a drum pad works great when it's, you know, massaging out hi-hat, feel, or tom grooves or anything like that. It's just nice to have that down here. And that is pretty much the whole layout of the studio. Other than that, I've got some lights, kind of, you know, some LED strips kind of giving some vibes. On my monitor, I have a downlight and also a backlight that kind of just, at night, it helps a lot when the outside's dark, the room's a little bit darker than normal. It creates just more comfort for my eyes, especially when I'm working on a documentary where I might be spending multiple hours staring at my screen nonstop without much of a break. All right, and that pretty much wraps up this space. Please let me know if you have any questions below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Again, this is kind of an overview video of what I have in here and what I'm using. And if you want me to do anything in depth about any particular space, like guitars, rack, things like that, I've either done those videos before, or I will shoot and make them if you are curious about anything like that. All right, everybody, thank you for watching this video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow a ton, and it's free to do, and I truly appreciate it. Down below, there are links to my music, my Instagram, things like that. Also, all the gear I use is down below. Check out those links if you do choose to do so. Anyway, thank you for watching, and until next time, see you later.